So my name is Jessica Liu. I'm a video production manager at Cloudflare. I want to share a little bit on how Cloudflare is building a video documentation with the help of AI. So let me start a little bit about who I am. So why are you listening to me blabbering on about videos? I specialize in full funnel in-house video production for tech companies. So that really basically just means from content strategy, scripting, filming, editing to analytics, I can do it all. I used to work for an ed tech company and I built and launched their YouTube channel, and I have close to actually more than 40 million views, and I think that's pretty good. So I've been working now at Cloudflare for almost 2 years, and I'm transforming our technical documentation into a video experience. So most documentations are still text first. I think a lot of you here are maybe tech writers, something like that. And text is really great. It's editable, it's searchable, it's copyable. You can easily make changes and keep your content up to date. But more and more users are asking for videos. And these are just a couple of examples from Cloud Speaker, which is our internal tool to reference public customer feedback. But why? Why do people want videos? Video offer clearer guidance, especially for more complex systems and concepts. It has this human aspects and warmth that text documentation sometimes lacks. So a little bit more than a year ago, we started experimenting, creating and adding videos to the Cloudflare docs. We're actually one of the few companies that's using video inside of DevDocs, not as marketing, but as actual instructions. And a little sneak peek, the users love it. I ran a user testing, and 80% find it very engaging to combine video and documentation. 100% will watch similar videos in other documentations, in other pages again. And they found that videos clarified complex workflow with demos and diagrams. So users love it. We make more of it. Happily ever after, at the end, I go home, right? Well, video is a very, very different medium from text. It's multimodal, which offer all of the nice things that users were just mentioning before, but it also comes with its very unique challenges. For example, how do we ensure that videos are accurate? Because unlike text, you can't edit videos as easily in retrospect. How do we scale production? I mean, we all watch movies. We know how long they take to create. I'm not comparing my videos or any video, all of the videos to movies, but they do take quite a long time to make. So how do we scale it? Me and and the other video production manager, Emmanuel, we are just a team of two, and we only have 24 hours a day, and we only have 8 hours a day to work. So how do we scale it? As well, how do we make video discoverable? I learned actually in this conference that LLMs still have a very hard time understanding videos. It's not very easy. Everyone's struggling with GEO, AEO, fancy words. But how do we make it discoverable by humans and machines? And how do we bridge the video and text so that they're consistently reinforcing each other in docs rather than living as in different silos separately? And this is where we use what we already have, which is our docs, and turn to AI for a little bit of help. So I'm going to share what we tried, what is successful, and what we're still trying to explore. We use AI in almost every step of our workflow as a practical and lightweight assist. But one thing why I want to emphasize, I feel like it's a bit of a touchy subject for everybody, but we're not using AI to replace any human. We're not fully automating video production even. We're just using AI to remove friction and the early messy parts to just speed up the process. The reason being AI videos can still look quite sloppy and uncanny, which I think we have all seen before. But that's a really big yet, right? Because the technology is moving really quickly. So for example, we're using AI to generate scripts with our documentation. we're using it to generate voiceovers, After Effects expressions, and that basically is like animation codes. We also use AI to ensure accuracy and validate feedback and to make our videos discoverable by humans and machines. Let's first take a look at scripts. We use Gemini at Cloudflare, and we do have access to Gemini 3 Pro, but you absolutely can start with just the basic free model, and that's what we were doing in the beginning to just to share with you, with very, very simple prompts. So I'm not an AI expert. You don't need to be very good at AI to start using it. The key here is to tweak your prompts so that it fits the tone of voice of your dogs, of your brand, the length of the video, the style of your video, etc. And you can have that tweaked prompt and save it as a gem that basically is like a little personal assistant. So editing is always easier than writing a script from scratch. It might sound really, it might sound really simple, but I think it's actually nicer it's just so much faster to edit than to write it from scratch. And for voiceovers, we use 11 Labs. It's really easy to use. You really just take your script, you paste it in there, and the voiceover is already sounding really natural. You can use Gemini text-to-speech. I haven't tried that, but I'm sure, you can do that. I'll show you an example on how natural it sounds in the next slide. But it's nice to have voiceover really early on to get a feel of the cadence and the clarity of your script. It also actually means that you don't need a microphone to start creating videos. You don't need someone who's willing to stand in front of the microphone. You don't need setup, studio, whatever. You can just start. So there's no excuse now. So I'm going to play for you here. How do I do that? Is my cursor there? Yeah.
Ever wondered what happens the second you hit enter on your keyboard to visit a website? It's a journey, a little digital adventure. Without Cloudflare, your request is like a letter you're sending across the country with the old school postal service. It has to travel a long, often congested path, full of potential traffic jams and even bad actors, all the way to a single...
Okay, I'm gonna stop here because you have heard enough. But I want to emphasize here that it's just the voiceover that's been generated. The animations are created by my colleague, Emmanuel. So talking about animations, I don't know how familiar you are with creating animations or editing, but in order to make an object move or to animate movements, you basically do a lot of keyframing. So you're telling an object from where until when you want it to move from where to where. Just explaining it sounds already quite time consuming. So but there is a way to speed things up, and it's called an expression in After Effects, which is the program that we're using to create animations. But it's basically a bunch of codes. I'm not a coder. A lot of graphic artists aren't coders, or they don't always know how to do that. So my colleague asked AI to help him with making an animation a little bit more smooth, a little bit more bouncy, and that's the prompt right there. So again, a very simple prompt, and this is the result. On the left you have before, on the right you have after. You see that the little head of the robot is bouncing a little bit, and it looks just so much nicer and smoother. It has more flair. So this is really nice because he can use this code on other animations that he needs the same movement again and again without having to keyframe that specific object. Moving on to accuracy, which is the next thing that we are using AI for, we're checking whether our scripts and videos are technically correct. So for scripts, think of like explanation of concepts. Is that correct? And for visuals, think of UI, is it up to date, etc. AI is really useful in this because it's great at cross-referencing technical details and information. So before we pass it on to our subject matter experts, we use video review Gemini Gem, which is on the right there. That's the little gem that we, Gemini Gem, for an initial and final check. And it's basically saved prompts, like I said before, and it remembers your preference and what you're looking for. So I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but I guess it's kind of like a mini agent. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. So it's really useful because you can just throw your script in there or throw a video in there, because there's now also image recognition function on Gemini. So you can just do that, don't have to write any prompt, send, it will do the checking for you. So it's really useful. And when you think of a video, and then we're using that, we're moving to passing on to our subject matter experts for review, right? But when you think of a video, reading is not the first thing that comes to mind. There are texts in a video, but you're not like thinking of a book to read. So naturally, it's much easier to hear how a video is going to turn out it's going to turn out rather than to read it. So we thought, okay, instead of sending over just a script for our reviewers to read it and to have to imagine how it's going to be read, why not let them listen to it? We found that hearing the content actually lightens the mental load and imagine how a video would be, and it makes the review process so much smoother and faster and easier on the reviewer's end, which is great for us because then we can move on to our next stage. So after the production, obviously, I'm skipping here some steps because I need to edit the video. We need to create the animations, but now we have it. We have the videos. We want to make sure that all the hard work that we put into creating a video is findable by our users. So this is where we use AI to help itself. We want to make sure that we're giving AI enough context about the video. So we have our title, we have description, we have chapters, and we have transcripts. And it's also something that I learned today and yesterday, that you need to define for LLMs what exactly in the video. You need to be very specific in order for the LLMs to know how and when to use your video in an answer. How we do it at Cloudflare is that because all of the videos that we have on our dev docs is hosted on Cloudflare Stream, and in the captions tab there, I think it should be showing, we can now generate captions and transcripts with AI. So it's just like captions, click, click. Boom, you have the transcript. And then you download the generated file, which is the .vtt file to use as transcript, and you hope that AI will find it and people will find it. I want to mention that I'm mentioning Cloudflare Stream here, but if you are not using, by the way, it's free, but if you're not using it, you can really easily use YouTube to generate AI captions. So that's really easy as well. So we've been building our video documentation for a little bit over a year. And I just showed you our workflow and how we're using it. So I want to share a little bit about what we learned, what is working, and what is still quite messy. First of all, we really like our videos short and sweet and focused. So we try to keep it under 5 minutes. Sometimes you have, not sometimes, actually all of the time you have very complex topics, especially for Cloudflare. We have a lot of products and concepts that are actually quite difficult to explain in a very short amount of time, and you want to also go in depth because, you want to offer them educational content. Try breaking them down in series. You don't have to jam everything in there, and actually breaking them down into a series and having short videos is really good for integrating it better in the docs, because you can just you have a page and it's usually about one topic, and you want to have a video that's exactly fitting for that page. And it's actually also really good for discoverability because you have a very concise single intent in the video and what you're trying to bring across. So yeah, make shorter videos. Second thing is that we always refer to our docs back to our docs as the source of truth. We, on my team, on the product content experience team, we have a lot of very, very talented tech writers, and they work really hard on making sure that all the content on docs are up to date, are accurate. So we trust their expertise. We trust what they're doing. We always refer it back as the single source of truth. And it's great because like it's easily editable, it's always up to date, and we also ask AI to reference it, so we know that that's where AI is getting our information from. Yeah, and we also oh my god, I lost my cursor. Well, anyways, okay, yeah, we also use AI for friction points. So we're also checking for accuracy. We're like I said, we're checking for whether technical informations are correct, and if and it's really good for maintenance. Because for example, now I have a bunch of videos up, and I want to make sure that UI is still up to date or not. Because you know, tech products, they change all the time. So you can throw it in there, and they can check it for you. And finally, to make sure that your video is discoverable. And now, like, making videos itself is already not a very smooth process. Building a video documentation is really not a smooth process. We're still inventing workflows as we go, and there isn't like blueprint on how to create video in docs, especially. So we're exploring how to make sure that the videos are staying fresh. How will the maintenance workflow, how do we optimize that workflow and stay on top of UI changes? Is the current structure still working for our users? How should we implement videos in the docs to make sure that users are using it in the most helpful way? There are still a lot of gaps in the tools that we want versus the one that we're currently using. So the most time-consuming part is the production itself, and we've all seen the AI slops. So we're not using AI to completely remove that part yet. But I think there are a lot of things that we can try. So for example, I'm going to go home using what I've learned in this conference to try and like generate some diagrams and see if that will help already speed things up a little bit. And finally, we're using a couple of AI tools, and if I'm going home and experimenting it, and if it works, I'm adding even more to it. How do we consolidate them for smoother workflows? We're always building new functions and new tools at Cloudflare. For example, the AI captioning function that I show to you is already saving us a tool that we were previously using for transcript. Yeah, so hopefully we can build more in the future. So this is I think this is the thing that I want you to take home with. If there's anything from this entire presentation, you don't need big AI strategy. You don't need perfect tooling or even a video team to start creating video in documentations. And that's coming from me. I'm a video production manager. Without this, I will have no job. But you don't need to start trying, right? You just need to start small. Pull scripts. You have your docs. You trust it. Pull scripts from your docs and generate it. Try to use AI voiceover. Create visuals. It sounds a bit daunting, but you have screen record. Everybody can record screen recordings from their laptop. You can try Figma to create simple diagrams. It doesn't always need to be moving. So just try. Make sure that you are using AI to generate metadata to have it findable and discoverable. Experimenting, tweaking, continue to try different things, and finally collaborate with us. Our docs are open source. We have a How We Doc section on where we share how to approach documentation strategically. I'm also working on adding a section on how we video on the same how we docs section. So have a look, collaborate, and let's continue building a video documentation or start building one. Yeah, thank you. And if you have any, just collaborate with me also at my LinkedIn. And I'm really curious about what new ideas you have. Like I'm not providing one single answer here for you. So let me know if you have any new ideas. And yeah, that's also our doc, so check it out.